Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters of all ages, TL5 Wrestling proudly brings to you its 5-time podcast champions of the world.
The notorious ATB, the just incredible. We are with the Bad Boys Pod. This is TL5 Wrestling, and we are ready to give you 5 more segments. Let's go!
I have till 5. I have till 5.
And this is the second loop for TL5 Wrestling. I'm the notorious ATB. My partner here is just incredible, and this is TL5 Wrestling, or the Bad Boys Pod. So we've got 5 segments for you tonight. We're going to start it off with one of my personal favorites that we've done, reluctant reviews over WCW Greed. It was their last pay-per-view. At this point, WCW was kind of a madhouse.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick.
So I believe we were about 2 weeks from closing at this point when they ran Greed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's a very interesting card. There's still some good guys left around, but it's just a mixed bag. The booking is all over the place. It's just not. It's not great.
Yeah, it's messy.
It's not great.
With some really stupid ideas, bad creative.
So we're gonna just get right into the match card. The show starts off with Jason Jett, formerly Easy Money from ECW.
The man with the worst tots I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
That's true. Versus Kwee-Wee.
The man with the worst hair I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
And I have no hair.
I don't have a lot. So
that match was all right.
That's why we're friends.
I didn't hate that match.
It was longer than it should have been.
I agreed.
But I didn't hate it. No.
Easy Money, or Jason Jett, sorry, got the win on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, they were building him up at that point. It was very early on in his career.
So I really thought this next match was really entertaining because it was for the WCW Cruiserweight Championships, the end of the tournament. Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships.
The belts, they looked, I really thought they looked cool, but also really cheesy.
And a concept that no one ever ran with again.
Because nobody else knew how to push cruiserweights like WCW did.
So it was Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo.
I enjoyed both of those guys back then.
Very much. Versus the Filthy Animals, Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio Jr.
A maskless Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh, he came out with the half mask.
Yeah.
Which I had never seen before, actually. And I thought that was really cool.
I had forgotten about seeing it.
Yeah.
Because I had watched it years ago.
So that match, again, was a lot of fun. Wasn't too bad. Believe it or not.
The Team Cruiserweight division was a lot of fun.
I could see where WCW was going with at this point. They were trying to get some of the younger guys wins here because they genuinely didn't believe they were closing down.
No.
So
Bischoff thought he was going to revamp this company more based on cruiserweights. Yep. And it's kind of what TNA ended up doing.
So that sort of explains the card. A lot of the young guys go over.
They do.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
So Skipper and Kid Romeo win.
Yeah. The new faces take the WCW Tag Team title belt.
That's right.
And that worked great for them. To put those belts on those guys.
So the next match we did was one of my personal favorite wrestlers ever, Bam Bam Bigelow, taking on Shawn Stasiak.
Now, I had been at the show the week before this in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Stasiak and Stacey Hancock revealed their baby, and it was just a bunch of 8x10s of Shawn Stasiak. And he was feuding with Bam Bam at this point for whatever reason. And that it was just, I was never a huge Bam Bam fan until I got older and started looking back on his career.
Appreciate Bam Bam, yeah. That was a super week. I love Bam. Bam Bam can work. Stasiak, unfortunately, could not. There's a reason that he got out of the business so quickly.
Yeah. Planet Stasiak was not long for this universe.
However, Planet Stasiak got the win.
Yes.
In this match.
Wasn't it by DQ or something like that? Some shenanigans.
Some type of shenanigan happened, yeah.
We were
So-
doing a lot of dusty finishes back then.
The next match we got is Team Canada. Lance Storm and Mike Awesome.
Two guys that you're a huge fan of.
That's right.
And I'll admit, this is probably the most that I ever watched Mike Awesome.
Mike's really good.
I
He was
enjoyed Mike
fantastic.
Awesome in WCW. He was a lot of fun.
So they take on a weird pairing for me. Conan and Hugh Morris.
Well, technically, they were in the Dungeon of Doom together way back
Yeah.
when. So it kind of, I believe that was what Jimmy Hart was doing back then, was like reuniting his Dungeon of Doom people.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think so.
So again, Storm and Awesome went over.
That they did.
Pretty decent match. Nothing crazy.
Yeah,
again.
well, they were pushing the younger guys.
Mike Awesome was a
Again.
lot of fun. Lance Storm at his peak here in 2001.
Super serious, Lance.
Fantastic worker.
Yes.
They got the win. Next was when I saw this guy come out, I gave him a big pop. Sugar Shane, baby. Sugar Shane.
Vertebreaker. He'll
versus
break your back.
Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Chavito.
Chavito. And it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was
pretty
more,
good.
I guess looking back now, being a little more used to high flying matches.
Yeah.
This one was a lot more tame.
It was routine. This is
Yeah,
a routine
was-
high spot
It was a
match.
lot more technical
Yeah,
than-
Chavo's a pretty good technical wrestler.
than my memory wants to. see
Now,
it as.
again, and I feel like this is a problem with multiple matches, except for the one we're going to talk about next. A lot of these matches went too long.
Yeah, this one definitely went.
A lot of these
a little
matches
too
went
long.
way too long. But Shane Helms gets the win there.
And is the cruiserweight
And
champion.
retains?
I think he won it.
Okay. Well, regardless, Shane Helms got the win there.
Yeah, it tells you how much we both reluctantly reviewed this.
The next match was so fun because it was so abrupt and
Is
unexpected.
this the
for
tag
me.
team title match?
This is a tag team title match between Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo versus Totally Buff, Lex Luger, and Buff Bagwell.
We honestly had more segments backstage with Buff and his
Yeah.
cameraman than Buff had time in the ring.
Man, I love Buff Bagwell.
I do too. I was always a big Buff fan. I like Lex.
Yep, Lex is
Lex is
fantastic.
good people.
Lex was really jacked
Yeah,
on
he
this
was.
show, like beyond belief.
Well, this was definitely towards the end of his career.
Poor fella.
but-
He was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely partaking in some extracurricular activities.
Speaking
back
of
then.
huge, Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo both should have been huge. Man, those guys
They
were
should have. They really
fantastic.
should have. I loved Sean O'Hare.
Yep.
We've talked about that ad nauseum before we even thought about doing a
Yeah.
podcast. Sean O'Hare should have been a far bigger name than he was. in
One
pro
of
wrestling.
definitely one of, if not the biggest missed opportunity of that era.
Admittedly, I would have liked to have seen WCW continue on and
Mhm.
Palumbo become a world heavyweight champion.
Yep.
And O'Hare be the US champion.
Well, unfortunately, that's not where we went with it.
No, unfortunately, we got stuck with.
Because we go back to the
Invasion.
same old WCW ways on the next match. O'Hare and Palumbo win that squash match.
Yeah.
By the way,
A squash
it was-
against Totally Buff.
Was it like 30 seconds? Even
Oh,
if
well,
it
I was like 2 minutes,
was it
yeah.
that long? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
fair enough.
but still,
The next match is one. This is partially the reason WCW kind of failed. You got Ernest the Cat Miller versus Canyon.
over Ernest's little side piece.
Yeah, and I think I've done this on the show before. I've definitely do it in private a lot. I defend Chris Canyon a lot. I'm a big Chris Canyon fan.
I'm not a huge Chris Canyon fan.
However, I'm not a big fan of the Cat. I thought he was a fun personality. Don't think he should have been in the ring.
I don't even think he was a fun personality.
Really.
I was
Okay.
not a fan of the cat.
All right.
No.
Well, the Cat wins.
yeah.
We'll move on to Booker T versus
Rick Steiner.
the
Now,
dog
this one was
face
actually
gremlin.
fun.
Yeah.
Booker was at his prime here.
Well, as you know, we both put Booker on the WCW Mount Rushmore
Yeah.
a few weeks ago.
And
Great.
completely deserved it.
And he is right here at the cusp of like his prime. Booker
Well,
T is
2 weeks later, he becomes the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he's the man.
You know, when the whole Hogan fiasco had happened 6 months beforehand,
It's
it
time
was
to-
Booker and Jarrett that had the match.
time to elevate Booker.
So Booker he deserved everything that he was getting at that point.
So Booker gets the win. So
He deserved it.
U.S. champ Booker T. Next we go up to. I thought this one was fun just because it was so chaotic. Dusty and Dustin Rhodes.
Who had sold the story of Dusty eating a bad burrito
Yep.
all night,
All night.
because the loser of this match was going to have to kiss the other one's butt, and it was Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett in there against them. Now, we're both huge Jarrett marks, so, and we're also big Dusty marks, so it works, I guess. That we're seeing I don't like
and
Flair.
Dustin marks.
He does.
I'm a big Flair mark. All 4 guys I genuinely care about in the sport.
It was a really fun match. I really didn't like this Flair CEO angle they were doing where he was wrestling in Hawaiian shirts. I thought that was really silly and pointless. Now, like we said, Dusty and Dustin won. Flair flipped out. That was that.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Flair took off with all of his people because he was the bad guy in charge.
So the Rhodes get a W on that one.
Yeah.
And we move on to the main event.
Let me just say that I love the fact that on WCW's last pay-per-view, you had the Rhodes winning a match together.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to the main event, which is Scott Steiner versus Diamond Dallas Page. This one was fun for nostalgic purposes.
I just had a factoid pop in my head here.
Okay.
The first AEW pay-per-view had the Rhodes against each other.
That's true.
And then the last WCW pay-per-view had the Rhodes in a tag team match together.
And
that's kind of neat to think about. Cool. Yeah. But Tony Khan probably intentionally did that.
I'm
as much
sure
as he loves
he did.
His little factoid.
Because DDP even came out with Cody on that show.
Yeah, and DDP wrestled in the main event and lost to Scott Steiner.
That's right.
For the world title.
There you go.
At this point, I want to say that the last WCW magazine had come out.
Yep.
And it had DDP on the front, and on the back of it was actually an advertisement for WCW's Big Bang. That would have been the reboot pay-per-view under Bischoff.
WWE was gonna.
Or no,
Bischoff. Okay.
Yeah, this was before WWE had bought it. Bischoff thought he had a done deal.
Wow.
Yeah, and they had already ran the ads.
Well, all in all, Steiner, of course, got the win there. Yeah. All in all, I don't think the show was as horrible as everyone makes it out to be, but the problem to me with the show is everything just ran so long. It dragged.
It felt long.
The pacing was terrible. There was a couple matches that just shouldn't have been there whatsoever.
No.
And so
at this point, WCW was kind of lost. I mean, you didn't have Sid. You didn't have Nash. You didn't have Hall. You didn't have Hogan.
No, Mach.
You didn't have Macho Man.
Yeah.
You didn't have You didn't have Goldberg because he was out after cutting his arm.
Raven was gone.
Raven was gone. Brett was crippled at that point. Yeah. Thanks to Goldberg.
It was a done deal. I mean, that was the end.
You've turned me. We hate Goldberg here. Team Bret Hart. Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
That's right.
All in all, if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. It was fine. At the time, I probably would have been a little more upset.
You say 6 out of 10. I say 3 out of 5. Which is also a 6 out of 10.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Fractions here on Teal 5 Wrestling.
Yeah, that's what we do. Now, when you think back at WCW, as I mentioned, Scott Hall, he wasn't there at the end.
Yeah.
I like to think sometimes back of who could have been a world champion and what could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one. Here's 2. What could have been wrestlers that should have been a world champion, but haven't been or weren't. So I want to go ahead and start off with Scott Hall.
Yeah,
the man deserved a world title reign. I think that he probably should have gotten it in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, maybe he should have been the one to quickly beat Sting for it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because Sting didn't hold the belt for long anyways. No. We quickly transitioned into DDP.
No, I think Scott Hall's personal issues might have held him back from that at certain points of his career.
Yeah.
He became sort of too untrustworthy at a point to put a singles title on him.
Well, then, okay, let's go further back in time.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have beat Bret Hart for it.
Razor could have been world champ, man.
Maybe.
Honestly.
Yeah. Razor should have been a world champion somewhere.
One that I talk about a lot, and I'm sure this is a very obvious pick, but Shelton Benjamin. I think, especially during his run. And last week we covered that with Evolution on Flipside Face Off. Either last week or the week before, I can't remember. But he had a feud with Evolution.
Yeah.
And he should have won the title there. If you remember, he beat Triple H. It was a big shock. He got his title match next and, of course, lost. I think it would have been really cool if they put the title on the line for the first match because Triple H was so confident that he could beat Shelton. And then Shelton gets an upset win on Raw. And even if he's a transitional champion, Shelton was at such an athletic peak of his career at that point that he definitely should have been world champion.
I had a very similar mindset back then, but not for Shelton. I actually wanted them to put the belt on Maven.
Wow.
But just like let Maven, because the deal was like Orton couldn't challenge Triple H for the title.
Okay.
So Maven should challenge Triple H. Orton cost Triple H the match. And when it's Orton's week to be in power, he takes on Maven and beats him for the belt.
Well, another one that definitely should have been world champion, I think we'll both agree to that, is my perfect friend Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect.
Definitely.
Kurt I would have even done it in WCW, maybe.
So who would he beat for it?
Hogan.
But they were in the NWO together.
I know, but he got out anyway, so that would have been a good way to get him out in a different type of storyline. Instead of going the Warrior route, where we brought Warrior into WCW for that crappy storyline, I would have loved it if they used that as a face turn for Kurt Hennig and won the world championship.
Yeah, I mean, that would have worked. I want to go further back in time and say that maybe he should have beat Hogan for it in like 92. Why didn't he defeat Flair for it instead of Bret Hart when Flair was going to WCW?
That's true. The storyline actually should have called for that because they were.
That would have been perfect.
That's true.
No pun intended, but it fits. That would have been perfect. That would have been so much better to me.
Yeah, that was great, man. Mr. Perfect should have been world champ. But Kurt Hennig, I think, in WCW as a face run could have been really cool to see.
Yeah, that could have been a blast.
In lieu of the West Texas Rednecks, I would have liked to have seen. Although I did enjoy the West Texas Rednecks for comedy purposes.
Yeah,
it's a shame to see Hennig wasted in that.
Not to loop back to the Rhodes family.
Yeah,
but Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah,
or even Goldust.
Absolutely,
you could have put the world title on Goldust in '96 and drew some major heat.
Yeah, it would have been a big deal.
That would have been a blast.
It would have been a lot of fun. Brian Pillman could have been world champion. Now,
if he lived, sure,
right?
But at no point was Brian
loose
high enough
Brian
in his
Pillman,
life.
I think was coming. Another one, Owen Hart.
I think if Owen had lived and decided to keep wrestling,
I think he would have been world champion. Him and Pillman both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of world champions, man. That could have been, should have been.
You know, I'm surprised that even though Animal had the multiple singles reigns, that he didn't get at least a decent title run.
Yeah.
Like slap the U.S. belt on him. There are a lot of guys that came through that never got a shot at the world title.
That's true.
Like Buff Bagwell. As long as he was in the company, you could have gave the man a short run.
Like Mark Marrow.
I really thought that Marrow in WWF would have been even a main eventer.
Yep.
He could have been a fun main event wrestler.
Sable stole the thunder on that one.
Well, there's a reason for that. But that's just some things to think about in wrestling.
Yep.
And other things to think about are guys that could have or should have been part of a faction.
Yeah.
Now, me and Tanner were both big fans of factions.
That's true.
I am a huge NWO fan, and Tanner is a big Bullet Club fan. So we thought it would be fun to do a little faction face-off here and let him pick one person out of Bullet Club to replace, and then I'll pick somebody out of the NWO to replace.
Okay. Would you like me to begin?
Go right ahead.
All right. So here, I've got this mapped out. Here's how we're doing this. David Finlay is going to sign with WWE.
Okay.
All right. That leaves the vacant spot. You've got the War Dogs, the Bullet Club, but we're not doing that anymore, brother. Bullet Club needs a new leader that can carry it to a level that maybe it could have been to a long time ago. Maybe it should have been a long time ago. A guy that I think a lot of fans have clamored to be in the Bullet Club for a long time. Nick Nemeth.
Well, does Ryan get to come along?
As a young boy.
He
He'll
can be
do
a young
great.
boy.
He'll be
Yeah.
a young boy in New Japan.
He can like carry the towel and the bucket and everything.
No, Nemeth's coming in, and he is going to take over, and it's going to. I want it to be more like a Bullet Club of old. I want to see a lot of super kicks. I wouldn't mind him to bring in people he's got chemistry with. Bring in Johnny TV or something. Like pair him with some guys that he's.
Bring in the Hurt Business.
Yeah,
whatever
that
they're
would be
going by as.
fantastic, yeah.
Let them become a
MVP
branch
could be
of
an
Bullet
awesome
Club.
mouthpiece for Bullet
Yes.
Club.
Let Bullet Club get back to being the American wrestlers.
No, I think that
Because that's kind of what they.
we'll see Nemeth. I think would fit that
Yeah.
great. Nemeth would have been cool when the Young Bucks were still.
Yeah, Nemeth would have been great anywhere that he wanted to be.
But yeah, Nick Nemeth as Bullet Club leader, I think would be fantastic way to take it back to it. We got to get Bullet Club's been stuck in a rut for a while to me.
Yeah,
If we're going to keep doing it, we need to kill what we currently have with it and rebuild it under the new leader, Nick Nemeth.
so I would go a different route
Okay.
with mine. Obviously, my team's already done for. I would get rid of, well, not get rid of necessarily. I would bring in Shawn Michaels into the NWO.
That's a great.
Sometime around 1998, about the time that Bill Goldberg's the world champion.
About the time Sean lost his smile.
About a year after Shawn lost his smile and he hadn't quite gotten over his demons, and the WWE didn't trust him anymore.
If he has to work Goldberg, he's definitely going to lose his smile again.
Well, I'm sure that would have made Brett happy, which at that point I don't think Bischoff would have cared. Because Bischoff wanted to do the best thing he could for the business, and Brett wasn't working out for him anyways.
Yeah, there you go.
So Bischoff could have brought Shawn in and announced a surprise opponent for Goldberg.
Mhm.
And it's undefeated Bill Goldberg with the world title against Shawn Michaels as the surprise NWO member.
Yep.
And Shawn intentionally gets disqualified. So Goldberg loses his streak by disqualification to Shawn Michaels.
Because
his-
he's a slimy dog.
Yes, because he's an NWO guy. That would have given so much more steam to the Goldberg NWO storyline.
You know what else we could have got out of Sean in the NWO? We could have got a sequel to Sean versus Brett in WCW, which could have been super
You
cool.
could have done that and let Brett actually get the win. That would have been a great way to have patted Brett on the back.
Or you want to rebrand NWO and make it better? They have that match and then they shake each other's hands and hug, and they're both in the NWO together.
Yeah, you let Bret Hart be wrestling for the United States title, and Kevin Nash come out, powerbomb wherever he's wrestling,
Yep.
and Bret gets the win, retains his belt. Shawn comes out. They decide to have a match at the next pay-per-view, and then instead of a finger poke of doom, they have an actual match.
Yep.
And then hug at the end of it, and let it go to a time limit draw. Even just for the moment of these two guys that everyone thought hated each other. I mean, they did hate each other.
Yeah, and they
But-
might steal a little.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know how Brett feels about Triple H.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen Shawn Michaels pop up in the NWO. I think that would have
Would've
been a
been
lot
cool.
of fun, especially to have ended Goldberg's undefeated streak.
You know, two different eras, but we went to a very similar place. Both of us did on
Yeah,
this.
you know who could be fun to add to Bullet Club
Who?
as he's getting older? You could add X-Pac to it.
X-Pac and Bullet Club would be a blast just as a visual. He doesn't even have to work about just him in the background crotch chopping
Yeah.
and doing X-Pac stuff would
You
be
know,
awesome.
Maybe if that happened, they could get sponsored just like we are by Green Hemp Company. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Green Hemp Company is the official sponsor of Till 5 Wrestling. Now, you can get up with them and manage to get you some great quality products for all of your emotional or physical health issues. If you are a person who decides to partake in a little bit of extracurricular THC activities, that's on you. But if you would like to get some quality products from a brand you can trust, I highly recommend you hit up Green Hemp Company in Greenville, Tennessee. They're in the foothills of the Smokies. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sundays from noon to 6 p.m. You can email them at greenhempcompany@gmail.com. You can also contact them via Facebook. Hit up Donna for some great deals on your Green Hemp Company products.
All right.
Speaking of Green Hemp Company, being in Tennessee, we're a couple of Kentucky natives.
That's right.
So maybe we need to get into the top 5 wrestling personalities from Till 5 State.
There you go.
So, Tan?
So I feel like there's not as many big names as you would think. There's some great independent workers that don't get any credit here from Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have a very similar list.
We probably will.
So we'll just go into 5.
Yeah, that works.
So first I put Ricochet.
Ricochet definitely belongs up there.
Ricochet.
As much as he has accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily title belts, but platforms that he's performed on.
Yep.
Ricochet has been up there almost as high as a wrestling personality as Miss Elizabeth.
Yep.
Who I think we can both
Fantastic.
agree on belongs on there. So Miss Elizabeth's probably the most important female wrestling figure that never wrestled.
That's true. I
That's
think
never
that's
been.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, because Sherry wrestled.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Well, I think that another one we should put on the list is Chucky T. Chuck Taylor.
yeah, Chuck Taylor, he's from Murray.
That's
Kentucky.
right.
Now, he actually wrestled in Corbin a few times.
He did.
Yeah.
I've seen him live a couple times.
Yeah, I got to give him a ride from the airport.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Super nice guy.
who you got next?
I don't really have a list.
Oh, Roddy. Well, next
Sir.
I went with Pillman Jr.
Oh, we don't agree.
Well, he's got the most horrific beard job in the business right now.
He's not that great in the ring either.
No, he's okay.
I mean, I would hear more of an argument for Doug Basham ahead of him.
At least Doug's got some title wins.
Doug has some title wins.
Doug, good tag team wrestler.
Nick Dinsmore.
Nick Dinsmore is a really good pick. Alex Zane, if you want to go
You know
more
what?
modern.
Let's put Alex Zane in this top 5.
Alex
Let's put
Zane
him in
is
at number 4.
fantastic. Alex Zane.
He is, and he's going places. If anybody will actually pull the trigger on a guy like him and a guy like Shane Mercer,
Man, Shane Mercer's fantastic.
if you could put those two guys in a trios with Lance Archer, oh my God, it'd be so much fun.
So, yeah, I'm a really big fan of Cash Flow. If we're talking Kentucky indie workers, I think
know,
Cash Flow's a ton of fun.
Let's give Cash Flow that 5th spot.
Let's give him some powers.
He has put in the work in Kentucky.
Yes, he
indies.
has, man.
I have seen Cash Flow and Zodiac on so many posters in my life for those two guys wrestling at indie shows.
And that guy's still doing it. He never gave it up.
No.
That's his life.
And he had the OVW show on Netflix. He had that, which gives him a lot of notoriety.
I'm glad he's finally starting to get some flowers. Cash Flow's a great.
He is.
He's a good dude, and he's a great wrestler.
Didn't he have a match or two in Impact too?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest with you.
I don't watch Impact now. So they all run together.
There you go.
I don't watch Impact all the time. Sorry. Tell you what, if you know a point of Impact that we need to see, let us know.
Hey, I know another thing. We just did the top 5 wrestling personalities, but 2 honorable mentions are sitting right here in this podcast studio right now. We could be next year's list. Maybe we could be top 5 wrestling personalities on this list.
We could be the top 5 podcast personalities.
I don't know. I'm going to go on a little tangent for a second. I've not done this in a few episodes.
Oh.
I'm going to go on a tangent. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I am the Till 5 Wrestling World Champion. So go ahead and look at this belt right here. This is a good thing that we've done here. This was made with tape and scrap paper and stickers. We like that.
Was this a gift from Professor Bear after last night?
This was not a gift from Professor Bear. This was a gift from myself. I'm the self-proclaimed Till 5 Wrestling World Champion. But there's my belt. And that's pretty much what I'd say. I just wanted to announce to everybody that in this new set, on this new cycle, I am the Till 5 Wrestling World Champion. And if you guys could please acknowledge me and hashtag good job or hashtag Till 5 Champ in the chat.
Hashtag let's go Tanner.
Let's go Tandon.
Let's go Tendon over here.
All right, you go with the show. My bad. My
Yeah,
bad.
we
Just
had
wanted
to
to
go off on a
acknowledge-
tangent to pat himself on the back because his cousin come in here last week and stole the spotlight, but that's okay.
Jeez.
We shipped him off.
Yeah, you see
He's-
where he's at now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or maybe you don't. Whatever. But so our last segment, we've discussed a couple of Ring of History people, and we wanted to get in one third one before we really get into this second loop.
Yep.
Because there's somebody that managed to be both a historically great wrestler and a violent wrestler.
That's true.
And that is Samoa Joe.
Mm-hmm.
The champ is here, folks.
The king of TV.
Joe held every belt Ring of Honor had. He was the pure champion, world champion, TV champion, the singles belts
Yep.
they had. And did he hold the tag team titles with Lethal too?
He did not win the tag team titles in Ring of Honor, actually.
Okay. I know they had several matches for the belts.
However, he did win every title TNA had to offer.
But,
Although,
you know, and he's held the TNT and the AEW
World
title.
Championship. And
Let's
don't
get that
forget,
international belt on him.
WWE United States Champion and NXT Champion
Yeah.
in an amazing run, man. Samoa Joe has done a lot.
He has. He's won a lot of belts everywhere he's won, especially when you stop to think that in 2000, he was in UPW.
Yep.
Working with a young John Cena
The prototype.
for a no holds barred championship
Yep.
while they both had goofy little blonde highlights in their hair. And then he actually worked a WWE pre-show along the way,
Mhm.
wrestling S.A. Rios
Wow.
on Sunday Night Heat in 2001. He worked the indies, a lot of IWA and MWL stuff. There was an MWL in the early 2000s
Okay.
that had Steve Corino and CM Punk in it in Florida.
The
I'm pretty sure
footage
Mike
of that.
Awesome was even there.
I bet that was really
It was a
cool.
lot of fun. I actually have a couple of those old DVDs.
We have
laying
to bring
around.
some of those over sometime. Yeah. Okay.
So Kojima was actually on.
Wow,
yeah,
man.
one of them.
Kojima.
Because High Spots used to have a signed Kojima MWL DVD
That's
for the
pretty
longest time. I was like,
MWL.
major the same MLW.
ML. Oh,
Wow.
Dude, you had me thinking it was a whole different promotion. Well,
His dyslexia is.
I've seen MLW, and it's.
But
fun.
have you
yeah,
seen
I've seen some of the
from that
footage.
era with
Yeah,
Mike
with Mike
Awesome?
Awesome and Steve.
Okay.
I think Terry Funk was around. They had the Extreme Horsemen with
Yeah, CW,
Simon Diamond,
CW Anderson.
Simon
back here.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Oh.
You broke it.
That's okay.
Anyways,
And just 10 credible, not just 10 credible.
yeah, you took that one from me.
I don't know what.
You're afraid to let me have ECW autographs because I'll tear them up.
That's true. You
Mhm.
have a track record of that.
You know what? Maybe I should tear up this Tito autograph.
Tito.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I know it's terrible.
That's
We've
terrible.
also got Brian Cage. Or do we want to talk about that? Or is that a bad idea from Bad Credit? We'll get
Hey,
back.
comment hashtag Teal 5 Wrestling if you want. If you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll put you in a
You know what?
chat.
If you want to talk about it, talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, tell us that we should just forget about it.
Tell us to throw it away.
Tell Tanner that he should shave his beard and just roll up all the hair into these autographs and throw it away.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he should do.
If the fans want me to do that, that's what
That's
we'll
what
do.
we'll
Fans,
do.
you guys control this show. You are the referees. You
You-
tell us what we need to do.
Yeah. Now, we hope that we've been mildly entertaining.
Absolutely.
We hope that you've gotten some wrestling knowledge along the way of our hijinks and two friends telling you some stories here.
Mhm.
You know, over the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot different subjects, more violent wrestling.
We're going to lean into some violence. here.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot more of the ECW people featured over here.
Mhm.
Because this is Tanner's favorite era of wrestling, the more violent and extreme. We'll even have some special guests along the
Oh,
way.
the 90s.
We will have some very special extreme guests
Mhm.
on the show. Maybe even our live. We'll get a special side person. Let's hope for the best.
Let's hope.
Yeah, you know that's 5, folks, and we'll catch you all next time. Maybe with a flip side face off.